Hi, everyone. This is Tim Nye, Chief Executive Officer with Catholic Charities San Bernardino Riverside. We're here with another episode of Community in Focus. And today we're joined by Greg Bradbard, the CEO of the IEHP Foundation. Greg, thanks for having us. Or thanks for joining in. Yeah. So before we listen, I'm real excited, everyone. I have, in my career, Greg, I've been around lots of leaders, generals, admirals, lots of folks. And I'm newer to the Inland Empire, and I'm really impressed with your leadership. So I want to talk about that, but not just yet. So I just want to dive in a little bit about your past. Where are you from, Greg?
Sure. Yeah. So first, thanks for having me. And, we're a supporter of Catholic Charities. Love the work you guys are doing. So appreciate you inviting me to be, here today. But my background, I'll go back to, when I went to college. I went to UC Irvine, great school, and I studied psychology and social behavior. And what I knew was that what I didn't want to do was to go and produce a widget and do something that wasn't making a difference necessarily. But quite frankly, I didn't know what I did want to do with my life. I know I wanted to make a difference for people. Didn't know what that would look like. Didn't know if that would be ministry or something related to that, what it might be. And somehow I found myself on this path of nonprofit management. And straight out of college, I had done an internship actually, and it's about to graduate. And the executive director called me and she said, "Hey, Greg," she goes, "I have a job that I think you'd be perfect for." And she said, "It's half programmatic, it's half fundraising." And so I thought, you know what, I don't really know what I'm going to do at this point. And so I'll give it a shot. And I did. And I've ended up falling in love with working in the nonprofit sector. And that first job, I didn't really even understand what a nonprofit organization was. I remember asking her, "So is this government? Is this like business?" And then I decided it's kind of someplace in the middle.
I love that you said that because I felt the same when I first took my nonprofit role at North County Community Services. And it was interesting because a group of students contacted me recently from San Diego State University, and they said, "Tim, we need to talk to you because business and the nonprofit are completely different." And I said, "Well, hold on a second. You got fundraising, which is kind of your sales department, and you got your product and service, which is your programs department. So, and also we have finance, we have all the workings of the for-profit sector." And I did want to talk to you about this a little bit, that, it's not easy being a nonprofit executive. I've even had folks say, "Well, you're a nonprofit person doing good in the community," but they may not realize how complex the work is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've always said that the difference between a business and a nonprofit is a nonprofit is, it requires a lot of the same skills as, running a small business. But the difference is your aim is not to turn a profit, it's to change a life. And that really being that difference. But you're exactly right. I mean, it takes entrepreneurial skills. It takes small business skills. It takes emotional intelligence as well, empathy. And really, I think, to be an effective nonprofit leader, I do think requires the skill to both be able to work at ground level in the community with those in need in your community or those whoever's benefiting from your services, as well as elected leaders and business people and those who are highly educated, and being able to navigate both of those worlds.
It's a really challenging role. It actually reminds me a little bit about my time in the Marine Corps because you're operating on a shoestring budget with your hands full. You got a heavy lift and a heavy load to do. And we talked a little bit earlier about collaboration in the Inland Empire. It's such a vast region, so much work to be done.
Yeah. No, huge region. We have, last time I checked, about 12,000 nonprofit organizations across the region. But about 75% of those nonprofits have a budget less than $25,000. So very, very small. So a large network. And many times, this, we work pretty siloed. We focus on just that one area that our organization's mission addresses. And I've seen you talk about this, the importance of breaking down those silos and doing a better job working together.
Let's go back. So you're in this fundraising programmatic role, and then I saw that you went. You have a good history of nonprofits working in housing as well.
Yeah. So that was an organization that was working in housing and homelessness. I then had the chance to run very early on an education foundation for a local public school district. And then worked with kids in the foster care system for about 9 years, CASA of Orange County. CASA, or Court Appointed Special Advocates, is an incredible organization that pairs volunteers to be mentors and advocates for abused and neglected kids in the foster care system. Really powerful organization. And then got to run a United Way. And we ran a number of programs around college and career readiness, food distribution, school supplies to kids who otherwise wouldn't have them. And we ran the 211 system as well for the county of San Bernardino. That refers to many different organizations across the region. And then most recently, before my current post, was working for a national core in the Hope Through Housing Foundation, which is a large affordable housing developer and operator with sites across Southern California, Florida, and Texas.
I've seen all those organizations. I checked out their websites recently. Fantastic work that they've been doing, and really impressive. So here you are. So talk to us about when you first came to the Inland Empire. It's a different experience, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So again, I was coming from Orange County. That's where I was kind of introduced to the nonprofit sector. 2010, I came to the Inland Empire, back toward where I grew up. I grew up in a suburb of LA that was close to the IE, but not quite. And it was really interesting making that move. And I saw a couple of things. One, I saw the nonprofits here definitely had fewer resources. There were far fewer sources of private funding, foundations, corporate foundations, that kind of thing to tap. And that meant for the organizations a couple things. I mean, one, they had fewer resources to work with. Two, they had to get better at squeezing more juice out of the lemons that they had, right? I mean, making as much as they can out of those limited dollars. And I saw a greater willingness to collaborate and work together, I think, because they needed to, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on that note, going back to your college years, what came up for me was purpose, living a life of purpose. You talked about changing lives, and I think that's really where the nonprofit sector is. It's about elevating the community and really making a huge impact. And the Inland Empire is so diverse. For folks watching out there, you also have a role with California in volunteerism.
Yes, yeah. So a couple of years ago, I was appointed by the governor to what's called the California Volunteers Commission. The California Volunteers Commission oversees all of the service programs across the state. So that's AmeriCorps members and other programs that are kind of AmeriCorps-like. And if people don't know, AmeriCorps is the domestic violence of the Peace Corps, essentially. It's the easy way to describe it.
Okay.
But it includes California Youth Corps, California Climate Corps, as well as College Corps, which basically College Corps is an opportunity for college students to serve their community. There's a certain number of hours that they have to give to an agency that they're placed into. And then in exchange for that, they get $10,000 to apply toward their college tuition. So an incredible model to help kids, absolutely, especially kids who don't have the resources to pay for college on their own. It gives them those dollars to do that while allowing them to serve their community and many times gain that appreciation for community service that
I had no idea.
That then becomes, a lifetime, thing for them.
What would someone Google or look up if they wanted to volunteer?
So just look up California Volunteers,
okay,
or Cal Volunteers, and you'll find all of the programs on there and those opportunities.
So
they're recruiting right now.
I love it. So everyone, you're watching now, if you know a youth or you are a youth that want to volunteer, go ahead and search that. Go ahead and look at that, because I mean, you can be a part of the community, you can make an impact, and potentially get some funds for your college as well. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like youth and young adults.
Okay. Youth and young adults. So that's really, really great. And you and I were talking earlier about the power of the volunteer in general and how even in the Inland Empire, that can really help us do a lot more. We were talking about expansion at Catholic Charities. And so one of the ways, first off, we want to know that Catholic Charities isn't the only solution. As Greg said earlier, there's almost 12,000 nonprofits in the Inland Empire. So one of the ways you can make a difference is volunteering. Reach out to those nonprofits that you feel passionate about and sign up to volunteer for sure. You help strengthen the organization, strengthen the community, and you get to be a part of making a difference or having a purpose in life for sure. In that regard, that's fantastic.
I'm a huge fan of volunteerism. I think that it's, it's such a great resource for organizations to be able to provide the manpower that they need. Like we said, nonprofits have limited dollars. But like you said, I think that it also is so impactful for the volunteer themselves. I know we've all, had this experience where we've gone out to serve and we've come back saying, man, I feel like I benefited more as the one serving than probably those I was even giving that service to.
I mean, that's the phrase, right? When you give, you get.
Yep.
Fantastic. So,
Mm.
Greg, we've had some changes in federal budgets and state, the state budget and all sorts of things happening in the nonprofit sector. And so that's causing a lot of duress per se on and challenges for nonprofit leaders. What guidance would you have for someone watching today that's a nonprofit leader or someone who wants to support about self-care,
Mm.
just taking care of them in this time of stress?
Yeah, great question. I mean, so one, I think, is just being aware of the idea of taking care of ourselves, right? We talk about we can't take care of others unless we take care of ourselves first. It was interesting during COVID, the organization I was working for, National Core and Hope Through Housing, I was asked to, we had about 400 employees. I was asked to put together some programs for how do we help our employees to take care of themselves during this time. And it was really interesting because I started to do some of that research, and what I kept coming back to study after study was in order to take care of your mind and keep yourself mentally, well, starts with taking care of your physical body. And it all came back to, are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you exercising? Are you in community? And those principles, I think, are so true for our mental wellness. So I think for, leaders thinking about, am I doing those things? Especially, sleep. Often you hear leaders say like, I don't sleep, I'm just up at night. I mean, that's crucial to help you be at your best that
I
next
I
day.
think I think a lot of research shows an adult might say they sleep 7 hours when it's really probably around 6, maybe
Yeah.
5 hours. And the reason I was smiling because as you were talking, I started thinking maybe I drink too much coffee and not enough water. So I love my coffee, everyone.
My wife would tell you that's a problem of mine as well. Not the coffee part, but drinking enough water.
Drinking enough water, and so health and wellness, right? And the other thing that came up to me is the ability to talk to others. So IHP Foundation has put together this fantastic group of 40 nonprofits, 80 leaders in a room talking, building connection and community. And before I forget, one of the things I learned about the Inland Empire that's different from other places I've lived is there seems to be a lot of friendly collaboration amongst folks. I mean, there's this sort of bond or unity that's happening. But the reason I bring that up is because it allows a space for nonprofit leaders to get together and talk.
Yeah. 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 So if I can talk about that program a little bit, first, just to back up, IEHP Foundation, is a foundation that was founded by Inland Empire Health Plan, which is the major Medi-Cal provider across, or insurance plan across San Bernardino and Riverside County. And, this foundation was established about 4 years ago. And our mission is really to create conditions across the Inland Empire where everyone can experience this idea of vibrant health, which is full physical health, mental health, overall wellness. And we know that our nonprofits and believe that our nonprofits are on the ground providing what we call the social determinants of health, which are really it's access to food, housing, education, transportation, but those things in our community that lay the foundation for people to be healthy. And so this program, which Catholic Charities is part of, which is terrific, our Champions for Vibrant Health Leadership Network, was designed to make a deeper investment in this smaller group of organizations, these 40 organizations, both around leadership development. We went out and did a bunch of listening from executive directors of nonprofits across the region to say, what are the needs you see? And that's a big way that this program came together. And one of the things we heard was leadership development, and not just for the top level, but to develop our next kind of our pipeline of future nonprofit leaders. So that's why we have those emerging leaders we really want to invest in, who ultimately can become executive directors in that organization or maybe someplace else in the region as well. Public policy as well. We can talk a little bit about that, but making sure that we're raising our voices around issues that are important to the region, and then putting dollars into the mission's general operating support, essentially to help those organizations to fund whatever they need to fund to really build their capacity as an organization.
Yeah, so going back to policy, right? I said earlier in a previous conversation with you about the Inland Empire is almost a forgotten population, it seems.
Yeah.
We're the folks out in the desert, and even the folks way out in the high desert, maybe a little even more forgotten. So it's important to have those policies, the camaraderie. There could be a nonprofit, for example, that's doing great work in Big Bear, as an example, or perhaps a different city that Catholic Charities can reach out to if we have someone in need out there. And I'm no stranger to physical issues. Being a United States Marine, I hurt myself. I was a forced recon Marine, and I had several injuries. We don't even have enough time in this podcast for me to talk about them, but I know the importance of having medical coverage and the fear you might have if you don't have medical coverage or food for that matter, especially for your family. And we talked earlier about dignity, and it's really hard for a parent to have that moment where I can't feed my kids.
Absolutely.
Very challenging.
Yeah.
So when I first applied for the leadership program with our team, I thought to myself, I've been in the Marine Corps, I've gone through several leadership programs. Sure will apply. But I have to say, you really took it to the next level. I think, the team is a small but mighty team, very professional. And it's just so wonderful to see the steps you're taking about storytelling, the development of the leaders, and addressing the needs of the nonprofits that are in the room.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
well, I appreciate you giving a shout out to the IEHP Foundation team because I do have a small, but like I said, mighty team. They're incredible people. All super dedicated, and all so aligned around our mission, including our finance guy, Steve, who's terrific, and he's supposed to be crunching the numbers, but he's so passionate about our mission, and he's actually a cheerleader for us, and often reminds me how important the work is that we're doing, which I love. And that's really what drives us as an organization. But the things you point to are also, we value a couple things, one of which is being responsive to the community and being responsive to what we hear from nonprofits. So really listening to, what we're hearing and going, how can we support that and lean in? And the other one is what we call relational philanthropy. We're a funder, but we think of ourselves as much more than a funder. It's why my team came out today and we wanted to see, and meet your team and see what you guys are doing.
I just want to say I love that because you didn't have to do this, right? The foundation didn't have to even be formed. And it was amazing to see that here we are. You're out looking at all the other programs and services that we do that seem to the untrained eye non-health related, even though you talked about the social determinants of health. So it's one community, and I just think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And in the end of the day, it is all integrated, right? All the things you're doing, again, it comes back to laying that foundation or that fabric so that people can be healthy in the long run, because it does start with a strong community, strong homes, and strong resources for people.
It does. And so if you're watching now, we have programs and services here at the Catholic Charities. We have 5 core programs and services. So if you yourself or someone who maybe has a need for counseling services, perhaps it's hunger relief, or healthcare access and enrollment, career advisory, or even a pathway to citizenship, any of those options out there, we're happy to assist. And don't forget to call 211. 211 is a great resource.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Some people don't know 211 24/7 free call center, and the website as well, which I'm not going to be able to tell you what it is, right? But if you just Google in your community 211, but they have all the local resources to connect people with.
So many great nonprofit partners out there, other than Catholic Charities. Again, I said in the beginning of this, we're not the one source. And I think that's sometimes where nonprofits might go wrong, is to feel that they're the answer. When in fact, it's one community, which is what we talked about leadership, is if you need support or help, ask, because we'll find a way.
Yeah, actually, a couple of things we're working on is a big Blue Zones project in Riverside and something called Vibrant Villages in San Bernardino. But both of those are what we would consider collective impact efforts. And, at the basis of collective impact is this idea that no one organization can solve major societal problems, on their own, or even one issue on their own. And so this, how do we come together and have aligned goals, have identified roles and what that is, shared measurement, working toward that. And I'm excited about some of the things we're doing, but absolutely across our region, need more of that.
Oh, fantastic. So let's go back. This is kind of fun, actually. So you're an anteater.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And you can tell us about maybe your daughter's also
so
moving out.
Yeah. So an anteater from UC Irvine. And somehow both of my daughters ended up at that school as well. And so I have one who's graduating next week, actually, and one who just started this last year. They're both doing terrific. And that was not by design at all. They both chose that school on their own and are doing great. And I heard you might have a connection there.
Yeah, no, for sure I do. I think it's such a great university, and my daughter has just been accepted, so I'm excited about that.
Congratulations.
And so the reason I bring that up is Father's Day is on the way, and it gives us so much purpose, our families, right? And so we know that, and I'll just tie it back in. So family gives me so much purpose to do what I do, to get up every single day, but also supporting all these families that are out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like I said earlier, it starts at home.
Yep, it starts at home. And so, Greg, what is one of your greatest mentors? I mean, obviously, we started with your college career, but you were in high school and you were a young man at some point, or your younger days. Was there somebody that stands out, or maybe even one or two people that really stand out as someone who helped mentor you or guide you
Absolutely.
along the way?
Yeah, I'm gonna say early in my career, it was, I mean, the first person who comes to mind was the woman who actually offered me that first job coming out of college. Her name is Margie Wakeham. She was executive director of what at the time was Irvine Temporary Housing, which is now Families Forward. And Margie was, she knew everybody in town. She sat on the school board. She offered me that position, but at 22, welcomed me in and under her wing and into conversations and meetings that
Mm.
to this day, I'm so grateful that she invited me into, with electeds and put me in a position where I was working with major corporate CEOs, doing fundraising and other things right away, where I learned skills from her. But she embraced me, welcomed me into strategic planning processes that she could have done behind closed doors, with the important people, and then just told me what the plan was. And that made such an impact on me. And to this day, some of those skills that I, developed in those first 2 years working with her. And by the way, she actually sent me off into my next opportunity and said, I don't want to lose you here, but there's this new opportunity, Greg, that I think you're a great fit for.
That's the mark of a great leader.
Absolutely.
You got to develop your team, and you want to cherish and be very grateful about their success.
Yeah. And
But-
invested in me as an individual, not just as an employee.
Right. I love that. And so, what advice would you give to somebody who's looking for a mentor?
Yeah, great question. I think first is looking at, who are those people who you admire in the community, or who's doing the work that you would like to be doing at some point, or is in that position. And I think sometimes people would think like, oh, I would love to have a conversation with that person. Most of the time, I feel like, people are happy to have those conversations. I mean, set up a 30-minute, Zoom call or phone call. Say, can I just pick your brain? So I heard somebody say a long time ago, most people don't mind talking about themselves, right? And I think it's such an opportunity for young people to just reach out and just invite that conversation. And through that, not only will they have a really rich conversation, but it will also develop a new relationship that could connect them with some other really valuable opportunities.
Part of what we're doing here at Catholic Charities is career advisory. We talked a little bit about it earlier, and it's interesting because we want to inspire folks to think beyond where they may be thinking, right? And sometimes a mentor is that type of person who can help propel you into your next area. So what would you say to someone in the community that's feeling down and out? They've hit hard times, they've hit a spot where they're not feeling so good about where they're at. Besides calling 211 and reaching out to nonprofit organizations, you must have had moments in your life where you felt really challenged. What did you do to help get yourself out of that? And what would you tell others?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, don't give up and never believe that you can't accomplish whatever it is you might want to accomplish. And even if you haven't seen it in your family, in your community, in your neighborhood, it's entirely possible. And there are people who want to help you get there. So many organizations, government entities, educational institutions, churches or faith, houses of worship, full of people who would love to help you reach your goals.
You know what? When you said that, what came up for me is we talked about it earlier, Valley College.
Yes.
They're so fantastic. You did a tour recently. I did a tour.
Yes.
I heard their president speak at a banquet, and that they really believe in elevating the students there. I love it.
Yeah, no, our community colleges, I think, are an incredible, maybe undertapped resource in our community. And you're exactly right. I think that they, in particular, really do a great job working with kids who are maybe in the first in their family who to go to college or to aspire, go into college. And, that's scary, right? I mean, if you don't know exactly what the path is, and I know they have great counselors and others to help kind of hold your hand to walk down the path.
Greg, I'm going to confess right now, I'm a terrible reader. I struggle with reading. I struggle with my education. Second grade was terrible. Third grade, oh my God, it was really challenging. So, but I made it, through, it took time though.
So what was the key for you?
I think perseverance, but also, I joke about this, but it wasn't really a joke. You know, I didn't have a lot of support in second grade. My mom passed away when I was really young, and the kids teased me about that, believe it or not. Didn't have the nicest clothing, really, really struggled. And I joke, the joking part is I see a little old lady gave me popcorn to help finish my homework and get caught up in school. I joke about the little old lady because she was probably 40 years old,
Yeah.
right? That's the joke part.
Yeah.
Um,
That means you're the old man now too.
yeah, yeah. Now I'm old, but I always say if I could find her, I'd resurrect a statue or do something for her because she really changed my life. I just needed, and there was a counselor named Mr. Woodruff that also took me under his wing, and Mr. Himman was the principal. It was Rolando Elementary School, and it's those types of situations where I just need a little extra help. So, someone, if you're watching now, you've heard Greg say it. Success is not a straight line. It's filled with all sorts of downturns and twists and turns through life. And it's that resiliency factor. But what Greg said too is there's someone willing to help.
Mm.
I know we are. IHP Foundation is out there developing leaders and helping nonprofit sector in its entirety in the Inland Empire, which is something we greatly need. So if you're watching now, reach out if you need assistance. And also, if you have something to give, you can volunteer as well to give back to the community for those others too, in mentorship and that sort of thing. So, Greg, I just want to wish you and your family a happy Father's Day.
Thank you to you as
And
well.
thank you so much. And I want to say to everyone out there, I'm going to challenge everyone watching now. Go for it. Go out there and seek out your dreams, whatever it is, and wherever you're at in your life, set some goals and go for it. Reach out to other organizations and mentors and help, and let's elevate the IE, not just by helping our neighbors, but by helping each other and ourselves develop who we are and be a strong community. I really believe in that.
Yeah, Wayne, thank you so much for having me, and really, more importantly, for the work that you and Catholic Charities do across this community for so many individuals and families in need. We appreciate it, and it's needed.
Thank you, everyone. This is Greg Bradbard, the IEHP Foundation. Thank you again for joining us. Please like, share, and smash that subscribe button. Share with your families. Get out there, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, everyone. Community in Focus with Tim Nye at Catholic Charities and Greg Bradbard of the IEHP Foundation.